Hello everyone, happy Tuesday and welcome to another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, and I am super excited to share with you today some projects made with the absolutely awesome Perfectly Plaid bundle from the Stampin' Up! Holiday Catalog. Now, these are the 3 cards that we're going to be making today, but I thought I would just show you quickly what is included in the bundle. So this is a punch bundle, and it is perfect for someone who is newer to crafting, who doesn't have all the bells and whistles, and doesn't want to invest a ton of money to be able to make some cute Christmas cards. Hi, Heather. How you doing? This bundle includes the pine tree punch, and I'm going to show you how to get several sizes of tree today out of this pine tree punch. And then the Perfectly Plaid stamp set. The stamp set includes several pine tree images, as well as a whole bunch of holiday sentiments and some little pine cones as well. So this has tons of possibilities. So I'm going to show you some projects today using this bundle. Before I do that, I'm just going to quickly show you where to find it in the holiday catalog. All right, it is found on pages 12 and 13. There's actually a whole suite in the catalog that is dedicated to this. Hello, Wendy and Denise. Nice to see you, ladies. Hope things are good where you are. So this bundle is part of the Wrapped in Plaid suite, and you're going to see me using some of the Wrapped in Plaid DSP. I'm going to just flip this over. Uh-oh, Facebook is freezing. I'm sorry to hear that, Wendy. I hope it's not on my end. So this is the DSP here. We're going to use some of it on our projects today. This is a better look at the stamp set, okay? But there is a whole suite of products that coordinates with this particular bundle. But I am focusing mostly on the bundle because I want to show you some other projects that I used that didn't necessarily use the plaid DSP. Hello, Chrissy. Hi, Debbie. Wow, the gang's all here. Did you guys miss me last week? It was a rough week. I was not feeling so hot, so I'm glad to be feeling better. My throat is still a little raspy, so if my voice tends to fade in and out, it's just because I've been teaching all day and my voice still isn't quite at 100%. But anyway, let's get to some stamping. We're going to start with this really quick and easy card, and it does not use the plaid DSP from the suite. I wanted to show you how we can use products from the annual catalog to create Christmas cards. So this DSP, can anybody guess where this DSP is from? It's from the annual catalog. I agree, Heather. This has been a huge seller for me. It's been a really popular bundle, and the plaid paper has been very popular. So where do you remember where in the holiday or in the annual catalog this paper comes from? Can anybody guess? Any guesses? I'll tell ya. Oh, you're right, Heather. It's from Garden Lane. It is the Garden Lane DSP. Now that paper, when you first look at it, does not scream Christmas, but it totally works on this fun little Christmas card here. So I'm going to show you quickly. It's really, really quick. This would be a great one if you are scrambling to get Christmas cards done and get them in the mail before too long, because December is Sunday. Yikes. It is a great one to just throw together really quickly. So to start, I have a piece of mint macaron cardstock. It is cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches. I've embossed it using the Pinewood Planks embossing folder. Okay, and then I also here have a piece of Whisper White cardstock that is cut to 5 1/4 by 2 inches. Okay, so 5 1/4 by 2, and this is 5 1/4 by 4. So this is going to get glued on here, but before I do that, hello Gail, how are you? I am going to add some of this champagne foil to the top and bottom edges, just to add a little metallic hit here. Now, these are just some strips that I cut. I die cut the scalloped edge using the Be Mine stitch framelits. Okay, these were in the Occasions catalog last year. They carried over to the annual, and I love the stitching detail on the scallop edge here. So they are still available in the annual catalog. I use them a lot. Sorry, I just bumped the camera there. Didn't want to make you seasick. So all I'm going to do to start is run a little bit of adhesive along one long edge of my embossed Whisper White panel. Did I mention that this is embossed using the subtle embossing folder? I don't remember if I mentioned that or not. It is. Okay, and then I'm just going to go ahead and adhere one edge of the white cardstock to that champagne foil. Now this is not cut quite exactly to size, so I'm just going to take my snips and trim that off so it's a nice clean edge there. Okay, and I'll do the same on this edge just so it's nice and tidy. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna do the same thing with my other little scalloped strip here. So same thing, I'm just going to layer that white piece onto the scallop, trying to get it straight. Okay, that one's cut a little bit more to size. Oh, it's a little bit crooked. Let's see if we can fix that. Can we fix? We can try. Sure we can. Come on. We'll just nudge that over a little bit there. There we go. That's a bit straighter. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and glue that onto our embossment macaron panel. Okay, so I'm going to add a little bit more fast fuse to the back of my panel here. The fast fuse does not like to adhere to the foil sheets, I have discovered. It sometimes does and it sometimes doesn't. I think it depends on which foil sheets you use. So I'm just going to add a little bit of Tombow to this one as well, just to make sure I get good adhesion. And then this is going to get glued centered on that, what am I doing here? 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. On that mint macaron panel. Okay. Just like that. Okay. Next, I have some adorable little trees that I have punched from the Garden Lane DSP, and I've used my pine tree punch. Where did it go? It's hiding under one of my samples here. Okay, so I've just punched those out of the Garden Lane DSP, and they are going to get glued onto my panels here using some dimensionals. So I'm just going to do that real quick. How are you doing, Gail? I hope you're having a good week. I don't know what it's like where all of you are, but it has been really mild today. It was a lovely day. It was like +9, which is great. Unfortunately, it's not going to last. I wish it would, but it's not. It's going to get cold again by the end of the week. All right, so we're going to first glue down our center tree here, just in the middle. And now, if I were being really careful, I would actually measure that, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to eyeball it. And then we'll do our tree on the right. And I just kind of want to make sure these are about the same height and spaced equidistantly. And then same thing on this side. Okay, about the same height. So I'm just kind of looking at the bottom branch of the tree there, just to kind of eyeball that. Okay, hi Chris, how are you doing? All right, now I can go ahead and glue this onto my card base. So here I have a Thick Whisper White card base. It is cut to 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and it's scored in the middle at 4.25. So I'm just going to fold that in half along my score line and grab my bone folder here and just crisp that up. And then we'll add a little bit of fast fuse to the back of our panel. Again, your adhesive is your choice for this step. It does not have to be fast fuse. We don't carry fast fuse anymore. So whatever adhesive you like is the one that will work. Ooh, that's not a very straight card base. Let's just do that. And then I will fold that again so that it is straight. Okay, so there is my card front, okay? And then the last step is to go ahead and stamp our greeting. So this is a ho ho ho, not O-O-O, ho ho ho, from the Perfectly Plaid stamp set, okay? And we are going to stamp it in some garden green ink. Oh, you had a good class with Elfie. That's awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and ink this up and just stamp that somewhat centered, attempting to get it straight. Wow, I'm out of practice. I haven't done a video in a week, and I'm out of practice for stamping off to the side. All right, so there is my greeting. Now I'm going to make banner ends on this. So many of you have seen this before if you've watched my videos. So I'm going to use my tailored tag punch. I'm going to slide my little strip in until I can see my sentiment there, and then I'm going to back it off a little bit, center it, and punch. Okay, and there's one end. Now on this end, I want to leave a little bit more space because I want to have room for my twine. So again, I'm going to put it in, and then I'm going to back it off more than I did on the other end so that I have a little bit more room. Okay. Hi, Margie. How are you doing? All right, so now I've got just a little bit of twine here. It's just a little scrap. I'm going to do my fake wrapped twine trick. So I am adding glue dots to the back of my strip. I'm going to press one end of my little scrap of twine into that glue dot and just wrap this around my strip and then press the other end into the other glue dot. Okay, so now it looks like I've wrapped it. Well, I have wrapped it, but it was easy rather than trying to wrap and tie. Oh, you're in Punta Cana. Oh, Margie, you sure know how to hurt a girl. I'm sure the weather there is much, much nicer than it is here. All right, so to glue my little bow down, now I'm not going to show you how to tie this one because this was actually left over from a kit from a class. So I already had them tied. I tend to pre-tie my bows for my people that come to my classes. So I'm just going to put a little bit of a glue dot there and then press the knot of my bow into that. Okay, and then it looks like I have wrapped that twine around and tied a bow, but I haven't. It's way easier to do it this way. Okay, so then this is going to get glued on to the front of my card. I'm going to put dimensionals on either end, but I'm not going to put anything in the middle because I want this to lie flat across the tree, which I have already popped up. So I'm going to peel off my backings here. Okay, and then this is going to go right across the middle here. And again, I'm going to aim for straight. It's not quite straight. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, and then the last little touch is to add one of these frosted enamel dots now, or epoxy shapes, epoxy drops, enamel, I can't remember. I think they're epoxy. I didn't bring my take your pick over, so I'm going to use the tip of my scissors, and I'm just going to put that right at the point of that center tree. Isn't that super simple but really cute? I just think that that's a really quick and easy Christmas card. Now on my sample, all I did on the inside was stamp the Merry Christmas greeting. Also in that Perfectly Plaid set. Okay, I stamped it in the same garden green ink that I used on the front. Really, really simple. Thanks, Martine. I'm glad you like that one. Really simple, but quick and easy. So for those of us that are starting to panic a little bit about getting our Christmas cards done, that's a quick and easy one that you can whip up a bunch of in a hurry. In fact, I did that one for a swap a while back. All right, so next one on the agenda is this one. Now, I have to say that this one, I planned this a while ago, long before these awesome Delicata inks sold out. So these metallic inks were new in the holiday catalog, and they have been so popular, they've sold out twice. They sold out once, Stampin' Up got more in, they've sold out again, and they can't get more in before the catalog goes away in January. So these unfortunately are no longer available, but they are awesome inks. So if you come across them at any point, I strongly encourage you to pick them up. All right, so on this card, it looks like it's heat embossed, but I actually stamped with the gold Delicata ink. Okay, so I'm going to quickly show you how to put that one together. Get all my little bits and bobs out here. Thanks, Cheryl. Thanks so much. I'm glad you like that. So to start, we are going to do some stamping on different colors of cardstock. So here I am using some of that awesome Wrapped in Plaid DSP. So the colors in that DSP are Night of Navy, Cherry Cobbler, and Shaded Spruce. So those are the three colors of cardstock I chose for my trees. So when you are trying to come up with a color scheme for your projects, a lot of people always comment on what a great eye I have for color. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret. It's not me at Stampin' Up. Okay, when I am struggling for a color scheme for a project, I simply pull out a pack of DSP, I flip it over, and I look at the list of colors that are included on the DSP, and that's where I draw my color palette from. So you let the design experts at Stampin' Up do the hard work for you, and let your DSP drive your color palette. Okay, so we are going to stamp our tree on each of those colors. So this is this really pretty sort of lacy looking tree from the Perfectly Plaid set. And I'm going to take my Delicata ink, so this is the gold, and I'm going to ink this up. Now, you're going to find when you are inking with this, you want to make sure you ink your stamp well, okay? The other thing is you want to make sure you have a nice juicy ink pad, okay? So if you find it's a little bit dry, getting the inker when you buy these pads is not a bad idea. Because it will allow you to re-ink as needed. Okay, so there is tree number 1. So we're going to do the same thing over here, and the middle of this pad is a bit dry, so I'm going to kind of hit the edges here. And we're going to do tree number 2 in the Cherry Cobbler. Isn't that pretty? Oh, so gorgeous. And then we're going to do tree number 3 in the Shaded Spruce. Okay. Really, really pretty. It's just got such a lovely shimmer. I hope that shows up. Yeah, it does. It shows up on the camera. All right, and before I put my gold away, I'm going to bring back my cherry cobbler, and I'm going to stamp my greeting. This is from the last card. Put that away so I don't use the wrong one. Now, this greeting is from the Itty Bitty Christmas set. I have used these two stamp sets in tandem a ton this year. This is one of those sets that is super handy to have. It has tons of different sentiments. It's got both sacred and secular sentiments for the holiday season. It's got a to and from for making tags. This is one of those must-have sentiment sets this year. Hi, Sue. How are ya? How's the weather in Florida? Okay, so this is one that I would really encourage you to look at getting because it's one you will use over and over and over again. Okay, so I'm going to use the Season's Greetings from that set. You could certainly use any one of the sentiments from that set. It doesn't really matter. And I'm going to stamp it just on the edge of this cherry cobbler piece because I'm going to punch that out in a minute or two. Okay, so we are going to move those aside and I'm going to bring in my pine tree punch. And we're going to punch out each one of those trees that we stamped. Okay, so it's simply a matter of centering the stamped image in the punch window. Okay, and then popping it out. Okay, here I go with my navy. Now, for those of you that struggle with hand strength and using our punches one-handed, here's a little tip. If you kind of get your image lined up and you just kind of pinch the punch closed so that the cardstock can't move, then you can take your hand from where it's holding the cardstock down to the punch and use two hands to squeeze it. Okay, I've been having some issues myself with some arthritis in my thumbs, and I have found that that is a really helpful tip for when you're punching, so you're not punching one-handed. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing here with my cherry cobbler tree. All right, and then I'm going to bring in my classic label punch to punch out my Season's Greeting sentiment. So again, I'm going to center that. It fits just perfectly in that little punch window there. And then same thing, pop it right out. Okay. All right, now it's just a matter of assembly. So here I have a piece of Whisper white cardstock. It's cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and I have embossed it using the subtle embossing folder. I'm not sure how well that shows up on the camera, but it just has a really nice, subtle, aptly named texture. Okay, so then I have a piece of the Wrapped in Plaid DSP. This is 1 1/2 inches by 5 1/4. It's going to get glued right along that bottom edge. Now, before I do that though, I want to glue my gold circle down. So this is just some gold foil cardstock. It is punched using, or sorry, cut using the layering circles dies, I think the largest circle from that set. And I've embossed it using the hammered metal embossing folder. Okay, so I'm going to glue that on right, I don't know, kind of like equidistant from top and left side there. And I'm just going to use a little bit of liquid glue for that. Anytime I kind of want to be able to adjust and wiggle my pieces, it's nice to use the liquid glue because there's a little bit of time before it sets up. Okay, so that's going to go right about there. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue this beautiful plaid DSP down. So this is going to get glued right flush with that bottom edge. Now, I am of an age where I cannot see white against white, so I'm going to put my dark cardstock behind this to make it a little bit easier to line that up. So we're going to go right about there. Okay, so that is that. Then we're ready to actually glue this onto our card base. So this is a Night of Navy card base. It's cut 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. We'll fold in half along our score line and crisp it up with our bone folder, and then we can go ahead and glue this embossed panel down onto that card base. So that is just going to pop right on there, just like that. And I know it's upside down. I do this on purpose. Okay, there we go. So now we can arrange our trees. So the first one I'm going to glue on is my navy tree. Okay, and it's going to get glued just flat. So I'll just take a little bit of liquid glue, just a little squiggle, and we're going to glue that one flat against that gold embossed circle there. Okay, whoopsie, stay put you. It does take a little bit longer for the liquid glue to set up when you are sticking it to the foil. Okay, just a little heads up there. Okay, so then I'm going to bring, excuse me, my cherry cobbler tree. And we're going to glue that one on. Now this one I'm kind of creating like a little forest here. So I don't want them to be lined up straight in a row. So this one's going to come down a little bit and get stuck right about there. Okay, and then my green tree I'm actually going to pop up using some dimensionals. So we're going to add, I'm almost out of dimensionals. We'll use some minis here. I've got more minis. We'll just get rid of those backings and then pop this onto the front of our card. Oh, right about there. Looks good. Okay. And then our sentiment is going to go on. Again, I'm going to put a glue dot on the part that overlaps the tree that I just popped up, and then dimensionals on the part that overlaps the card. That's so that it lies flat across the front of our card. So we'll put a dimensional here, and I'll just grab a glue dot for the other end. Okay, so that's going to just layer right about there, just like that. Okay, and then we're going to embellish. Now, one of the things I love about Christmas time is it's really easy to create your own DIY embellishments. So these little snowflakes are cut from gold foil cardstock using the Christmas layers dies. And in that die set, we have these large layering dies that have sort of a cluster of snowflakes, but then there are a couple that cut these individual snowflakes. And I love that they work as really cute little metallic embellishments on projects. So you don't necessarily have to add, you know, rhinestones and whatever. We are going to add rhinestones to this card because that's just me. I like my bling. But it is really easy to create simple DIY embellishments that cost you next to nothing, because honestly this gets cut from scrap, right? Thanks, Martine. I'm glad you like that. So to glue these on, the easiest way to glue these down is to simply add a little dot of glue. So I'm going to put a little dot of Tombow where I want one snowflake to go, and then I'm just going to kind of drop it on there. Okay, and let it sit. Okay, same thing here. We're going to tuck one in kind of in behind this tree down here. So we're just going to kind of tuck that underneath and just set it on top. I'm putting the tiniest little dot of glue here, okay? It does not have to be a lot. And then we'll add another little dot of glue here, and we'll tuck this guy right about there, okay? And that's all there is to it. Now, the last finishing touch, as I mentioned, is a little bit of bling, because I like my bling. So these are from the Holiday Rhinestone pack, okay? The Holiday Rhinestones come in the Shaded Spruce, the Night of Navy, and the Cherry Cobbler, which is awesome because they coordinate with this paper beautifully. So I matched the color of rhinestone at the top of each tree to the color of the cardstock. So we're going to add a Shaded Spruce and a Night of Navy and a Cherry Cobbler. Oops, that guy wants to run away on me. Come here, you. Come here. There we go. I really missed my take your pick. I need to grab it. There we go. That's it. Super simple, but really pretty and really quick and easy to do. So let me just show you again. On the inside, kept it really, really simple. I just added a Whisper White panel, stamped another one of the sentiments from the Perfectly Plaid set. Okay, made this special season be wrapped in love and joy, and done. So the nice thing about incorporating this itty bitty Christmas set with this bundle is it gives you so many more sentiment options. Okay, really, really great. Okay, so that is number 2. We'll get this out of the way, and then we're going to move on to number 3. We're rolling along here. All right, this is my favorite one because we get to do something cool. I'm going to show you a little trick. I love showing people ways to get more use out of their products. So this last one is this one here. So again, we are back with that Wrapped in Plaid DSP, and I'm going to show you how to get different sized trees using just the one pine tree punch. Okay, so let's pull out all our bits and bobs. Now I have already done some of these, but I'm going to show you how to get the different sizes. Okay, I've already gone ahead and done those ahead of time, but I'm going to show you real quick how to do it. So my green tree, this guy here, is slightly smaller than my full size, okay? So this gold one here is the full size tree, punched with the punch, okay? I punched it out of gold foil and then embossed it using that subtle embossing folder. Isn't that gorgeous on the foil? Oh, so pretty. Thanks, Martine. Thanks, Sue. So now I'm going to show you how to do this sort of medium-sized tree. So I'm going to go ahead just from some scrap cardstock and punch a green tree, okay? That's my full-size green tree. And then I've got just a little strip of scrap cardstock here, and I'm applying a glue dot to the end of it. Then I'm going to stick that tree that I just punched to the end of that little scrap, and I'm going to use that to feed it back into the punch. Okay, so now can you see how suddenly my full-size tree, when I move it up a little bit, is suddenly going to become a medium-sized tree? Can you see that? So I'm going to go ahead and punch this guy. Now I'm going to do him right about there. Now the trick with this is, you can punch here and you're going to have a big branch and then you're going to have a little branch here. If you don't like the look of that, just move it up a little bit and then you'll have the biggest branch at the bottom. Okay, and you punch, and there is your medium-sized tree. Okay, now you'll see these aren't even. That's okay. I mean, how many trees are perfectly even, right? If you don't like that is showing, or that you see that, the way I've arranged these, you can't see where my branches aren't even. I actually did it this way. Okay, so there's my medium-sized tree. And then to get the little tree, I'm going to do the same kind of thing. So I'm going to punch another red tree this time. This is Cherry Cobbler. And I'm going to put a glue dot on my little scrap here and adhere it to my scrap. Okay. And then again, this is going to pop into my punch. And this time I'm only going to go in and I'm going to have a little mini tree. So you can decide how long you want your branches to be, or how big you want your tree to be. If I kind of do it to that, that's about the size that I did on my card. So I'm going to go ahead and punch that. And there I have my mini tree. Okay, so there is a medium, there is a small, and there's my full size. All right, really, really easy way to get different size trees from that one punch. All right, so I'm going to show you how to put this card together now that I've shown you that little trick. So here I have a piece of, thanks Sue, glad you like that trick. This is a piece of Whisper White cardstock. It is cut to 5 1/4 by 4 inches, and I have embossed it using the Pinewood Planks embossing folder. Okay, thanks Heather, I'm glad you like that little trick. So I've got my panel here, and here I have a piece of the Wrapped in Plaid DSP that I have die cut using the Stitch Nested Labels dies. Okay, this is the largest die from that set. And what I'm going to do is actually glue this onto the front of my card to create my little banner, and then I'm going to trim off the excess here. Oh, you're welcome, Martine. Now you're all going to go home and punch a bunch of different sized trees, right? It's kind of fun to find new ways to use products that kind of make them more versatile. So I always like showing people tips like that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and glue this on. So I've just applied a little bit of Tombow there. I'm using my grid paper to help me get this straight. All right, and then I'm just going to turn my cardstock over and trim this right along the edge of my cardstock. So I'm using the edge of my cardstock as a guide to cut it straight. Now you certainly could put this back into your paper trimmer and trim it off if you wanted to, but that's just as quick. All right. All right, I can't wait to see all of your mini trees coming up. All right. So now that that is on, I can go ahead and glue that onto my card base. Okay, so this is a piece of shaded spruce cardstock. So all of my card base dimensions are the same today. They're cut to 5 1/2 by 8 1/2, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. So we'll fold it in half along our score line. Ooh, this is not scored very straight, this one. I don't know who did the scoring on this one, but here's a tip, it was me. I was doing this late last night and I think I was just a little too tired. So that's going to get glued right on there. So we'll just use a little bit of Tombow just in the interest of time and saving my fast fuse, my precious, precious, precious fast fuse. So we're going to pop that onto the front of our card just like that. Okay. And then we're going to assemble our little forest. So here I have just some circles. This is a Whisper White circle and this is a gold foil circle. I cut these using the Layering Circles dies. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and glue the white onto the gold. All right, and I'm using the liquid glue so I can center it, have that little bit of wiggle time, and then just make sure that that is well adhered. Okay. The other thing is you have to be careful that you don't accidentally knock it off center as you're playing around with it. All right, then we're going to go ahead and glue our trees on. I'm going to start with my largest tree. This is the gold foil one. And it's going to get glued pretty much well, not quite centered, a little bit to the left of center on my circle here. Okay, just like that. Now, these other two, I have gone ahead and embossed them as well. I really like adding the texture to these. It just adds a little bit more interest to the card. So this one, the green one, I have embossed using the Scripty embossing folder. And the little red guy I've done with the eyelet lace embossing folder. Okay, so I'm going to glue my green medium tree on. And we're going to just kind of overlap the gold. And again, you kind of want to make sure your trees are growing straight up and down, okay? Unless it's a windy day, then you could have crooked trees. It's supposed to get very windy here tomorrow. That's why I've got wind on the brain right now. And then we're going to go ahead and stick our little baby guy on. And I'm going to use some mini dimensionals for that because my regular dimensionals are done. So we'll pop this little guy just in the middle. We got a mom and a dad and a baby tree today. All right, just like that. And then we're going to go ahead and glue this onto our little banner. Now I want to keep in mind, I'm going to add my bow at the top here. So I don't want to put this up too high so I don't have room for my bow. Okay, so it's going to get glued right about there. We'll add a little bit of liquid glue here again. And pop that on right about there. And again, making sure my trees are straight. And then we're going to take some ribbon. Did I forget to grab the ribbon? I did. Where's my ribbon? Come here, you. All right, there's my ribbon. I'm going to show you how to tie a bow. Okay, so in case you haven't caught my bow tying lesson before, here we go. Hi, Sandy. How are you doing? How's the healing coming? I know you had some major surgery, so I hope you're doing all right. So I'm holding my ribbon between my index and middle finger, okay, on both hands. I'm going to pinch the ribbon with my index and thumb, okay, on both hands. So the reason I'm doing it that way is so I don't twist the ribbon at all, okay? So I'm just picking it up so that it stays flat. I'm going to take my left loop, cross it over my right one, and then bring it around and through the hole. Hi, Steph. How are ya? All right, so it is so easy to tie bows, you guys. Like, honestly, so easy. We don't need to be afraid of it. We really don't. Now, the nice thing about this beautiful ribbon, this is the ribbon that coordinates with the Wrapped in Plaid suite, is it's really easy to tie with. It holds its shape, and it's easy to adjust the size. It's not too wide, so it's very forgiving when you're tying bows. Now you'll notice on here, I have my little notched end. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. So you're just going to take your ribbon, you're going to fold it in half. So I have my fold at the top, okay? Then I'm going to bring in my scissors and I'm going to cut on an angle. And there's my perfectly even notched end, okay? So I'll do that again. I'm going to fold it in half. My fold is at the top. And I'm pinching it, holding it, and snipping with my snips. Okay, and there is my pretty little bow. So easy. All right, so we're going to pop that onto our card just with a glue dot. So we'll press the knot of our bow into a glue dot, and we're just going to adhere that just centered at the top of our little banner there. Okay, all right, now the only stamping on this card is the sentiment. And again, this is another sentiment from the Itty Bitty Christmas set. And I love the font on this one. Where'd I put it? There it is. So we are going to stamp it in the shaded spruce ink, okay? And I'm going to ink up my stamp, okay? And this little label is cut using the stitched rectangle dies. It is the perfect size for these little sentiments from the Itty Bitty Christmas set. Now I'm going to try really hard for a second. Yep, that's well inked. Okay. And stamp this in the middle, even though I can't really look at it in the middle. We're going to cross our fingers, say a little prayer, and hope that it worked. Oh, it works. Look at that. Okay. All right. So we're going to set that ink pad aside, and then this is going to get adhered to the front of our card with some dimensionals. Okay. We're going to pop that up a little bit. So I'm actually going to use the edge of my dimensional sheet. These little strips are perfect for adhering these little sentiment strips. So we're just going to pop that onto the front of our card right about there. All right. And then every Christmas card needs to sparkle a little, so we're going to add a little bit of bling. I brought in some holiday rhinestones again. These are what's left of a couple of sheets that I've been using. And I decided to use the gold because I wanted to pick up more of the gold that's in the DSP and other aspects of my card. So I'm going to use one large one, Cammy, are you? I need to get my take your pick. So we'll put a big guy down here, and then we're going to add a couple of little guys. Maybe one here. And another one. Let's put this guy here. So the thing to remember, again, when you are adding these kinds of embellishments, these little rhinestones or pearls or enamel dots, you always want to be making a triangle, okay? That is visually pleasing to your eye, and that will work on your design. If you put them all in a row, unless you are purposely putting them in a row, it will not work as well. Okay, if you have two in a row and then one that's just off a little bit, that won't look as good. So make a triangle with your little embellishments, and you will be happy with them. All right. So I'll just quickly show you what I did on the inside of this. I punched another little tree, but this time I used some of that plaid paper from the front of the card, and I adhered it inside my card, and then used my Merry Christmas sentiment from the Perfectly Plaid set. Okay, so I'll bring in all three projects again. Now I also have a few other ones that I wanted to share with you. I don't have time to show you how to make them all, but I just thought I'd share them. And I will post them later in the week so that you can see them all. But I just love this set so much, and I have so many samples. So I just thought, well, I'll show you a bunch of them. So here's another one. This is a nice kind of masculine looking Christmas card. I did this for a private class a few weeks ago, and the ladies loved it. So this is using this pine or sort of spruce tree image. It's got that really great layering. It's almost like our distinctive stamps. And a little bit more of the plaid DSP. And then I did a fun spatter effect with the gold Delicata ink. Okay. I'm glad you like those, Heather. Okay, so there's one. Here's another one. Again, this time I used the plaid tree from the Perfectly Plaid set, and another sentiment from that set that I heat embossed in gold. And then I went a little crazy with the punch. So here this is all odds and ends that were laying on my desk, and I was cleaning up my desk one day, and I had this piece of watercolor paper that I had used some of the pigment sprinkles on. I thought, well, I'm going to punch some trees and I'm going to make a forest. So that's what I did. I did a watercolor wash in the background, punched a bunch of trees, added some Wink of Stella. I don't know how well that shows up on the camera, but they're nice and sparkly. And then I had just some scrap DSP laying around, some scraps of ribbon, and voila, there's a rustic looking Christmas card for you. And then this one, I used some of the Sia Silhouette DSP. I thought that worked really nicely for a sort of non-traditional colored Christmas card. So there is another one. And then I had my Camp Kringle, my stamp camp, a couple of weeks ago, and one of the projects that we made was this fun little gift box. So this is a gift box that holds some truffles. And so I decorated it using the Wrapped in Plaid DSP, made a cute little tag, and again, used some of the stamps from the stamp set for my tag, and did a cute little coordinating card. All right, so there are just some more projects using this awesome bundle. If you haven't invested in this bundle yet, I really, really think you should. It is one that you will use over and over again for years to come. All right. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for joining me today. Sorry I missed you last week. I am feeling much better now, and hopefully we'll stay that way until long after the Christmas holidays. All right, I'll be back next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. See you later. Bye-bye.